Good morning. Welcome to an advertisement during the Quick and Early Miracles series. So this morning I wanted to talk a little bit about how I work with clients in case that's something that you think might be interesting to you, or if you're looking for support on your journey. I'll talk a little bit about what I noticed about the kind of people, good morning, that reach out to me, what that process looks like, how we address things, and like what they leave with. So how are you feeling? So I noticed that like my client type is somebody who has the capacity to entertain a lot of information. So they're either like real deep or real wide, and they might not say, like I used to put in my like marketing material, like somebody who's really smart, and my mom would say, like, you know, not everybody knows that they are. But I find that I work with people who can entertain a lot of information. Like I said, they got a depth or a width, and they're usually somebody who is used to doing it themselves. They're generally somebody who is a self-starter, has done a lot of the work on their own, and like is pretty good at it. Pretty good at doing things by themselves, and they usually have some curiosity about spirituality. They're kind of like on the edge of it. They might even have one leg in the pool. They have a feeling that that stuff is real, but the rest of them is still very like logical and analytical, and so it's like there's a little disconnect between the pieces. So usually they come to me when they've like hit a wall, and the wall could be something that they recognize on a path they know they want to be on, kind of like, I want to be in a relationship, I want to, you know, feel more peace about work, have greater clarity here, and they're noticing like they can't get over, like they're like stuck, or they might feel like they're on the edge of everything they've known, like they've explored the kingdom, and they're like, I know it's time to go somewhere, but I can't find it. Or I get, let's see, what are some other, I'd say those are like the bulk. And then from there, I do this, and it's been a journey to accept how I do this. I do this very intuitively. And so I have been coaching people since 2013. I have studied immensely in all like aspects of this work, at a behavior change level, at a spiritual level, like at, you know, mind, body, like all these different things. Yeah, thanks. All these different things, and yet like I still am I function very much as a channel or an intuitive guide, which means that I have those tools kind of like in boxes by my side, and then when someone sits in front of me, I'm guided how to use those and lay out a path for growth or change. And the way that I like support people is generally by having some level of an intake call. So if this is beyond a single session, I like to work in a kind of closed container where we have regular touch points for a period of time to kind of like get some traction and move stuff. And yet that's not necessary if, you know, it's like any of the work works. But if it is a container work, I'll have someone present on a phone call and say, like, I just have them tell me very casually, like, this is where I am, this is where I think I could be, or I don't know what's next, etc. And then from there, I'll draft out a plan and say, like, okay, these are the leverage points. This is what I see as sticking at a belief level, or at a belief level or an identity level, and here's how we'll address it. And the whole thing, like right now I'm being sort of like grown up in the way that I'm talking about it, but when I'm working with a client, it's like how I work with, you know, how I do my presentations, where it's like pictures of penguins and silly words. And that's because that shit works. It fucking works. I mean, who we're addressing within you is your inner child. Like we're connecting your inner child with your adult. And your adult is kind of like your higher self, like your supraconscious. And making like all of that comes together so that you can bring like that imagination, that genius, that naturalness, that that trust, that love, with like the awareness of an adult who knows who they are and what's happening. And when at like an adult level, I don't mean a conditioned US citizen, I mean like someone who knows that they are a child of God. So it's that connection that I think allows for confidence and following what's natural to you, because the child does it moves around the room freely unless it's already been really patterned to not. So the child knows what to do for itself, as far as following things that spark. And this the connection allows for that process to be kind of safe, and that would be a better way. I'm going to press pause on that explanation. And I think the other part of it is you take away the beliefs that hide that inner genius. You take away the beliefs that were grown in fear or lack, etc., and you just sort of reveal this intelligence and this power. And as part of that, you can hear yourself. So that's, from what I can tell, that's one of the most powerful navigating tools, because we're really trained away from that awareness. You can be trained away from that at school, or through trends, or oh, how could you, our culture is very peer pressure-y, and you could be peer pressured at your home, in your home environment, where it's not okay for you to want or do something different that might be upsetting to the adults or whatever. So when you can hear yourself this is what I want, this is what I like, when you're presented with options, it's not oh my God, what am I gonna do? What should I do? You're oh, this. Or if you're not somebody who knows instantaneously, you're all right, thank you for the options. I'm gonna take these back, and then I'll let you know what I want. So that is so helpful in our world from my vantage point, because there's so much nonsense out there, and it's trying to get you to go this way and that way and all these different ways. And hearing your own voice helps you say and this is my way. And let's see, okay. So I'll create a list of directives of how we'll accomplish what I perceive as the leverage points that are here. So I like to take people to a point and then let them go. And people do come back, and they usually come back when they're at a new level, or just somebody has regular check-ins. I work with somebody monthly. I have someone else I work with every 3 to 6 months. I have somebody else I consult, probably every 8 weeks. And it just helps to have these different, you can really get caught in your own head, your own narrative. And when you have a team around you that can provide perspective, it's like a board of directors. You don't have to use everything they say, but you can take their perspective into consideration and see if that helps you better align with the reality versus an illusion. So once we complete the work itself, we'll chip away at every week. They're 60-ish minute calls, and they're audio only, because I find peeps get distracted when they're on video, because they'd be it's my hair, and also we're going in there deep. So they're audio only, but we do share a live Google Draw document where I pull up images and, thanks Randy, pull up images and kind of illustrate how to think about what you're experiencing in a new way. And when your perspective changes, your option list changes, and when your option list changes, your actions change. When your actions change, your reality changes. And so that's very much at a grounded level, but at experiential level, at feeling and vibration, it can move pretty instantly, because it's not necessarily what's here so much as your relationship to what's here. And so you don't need everything to change for your relationship to it to feel better. So I'll probably do this again, because I need to get faster, tighter, etc. on it. But I do want to do a better job of sharing how I can help and how I can add value, because it is really valuable. I love this work, and I think I kind of brush it off to the side and assume everybody knows this is what I'm doing. and if you want help, to holler. But maybe, like, I think it could definitely be clear. And I do have a ton of testimonials on my website, and I'm always happy to answer questions. I am not, as you can imagine, a forceful seller, because I don't want to force anybody to do anything. I'm in the business of, like, do what's right for you. So, like, me saying this is what's right for you is not that. Even if, you know, I perceive myself as helpful, like, I'm helpful in empowering, like, individual choice. So, let's see, how else, since I'm gonna redo this anyhow, how else can I talk about it? It's really magical. You know, there's a piece, like, outside of, like, what's exchanged verbally and visually, I do provide an energetic component that I think is healing. I anchor myself, and, like, people who have, you know, are around me in real life generally say I feel like possibility, like I help them feel like anything's possible. And so if you're stuck in a dark place, or you're stuck under things, like, just interacting with someone who can demonstrate that, what that feels like, or can, like, share what that feels like, can be something then that's easy for you to, like, pick up and run with. Sometimes it's hard to conjure feelings you've never had before, but if you know, bump into it in someone else, you can kind of, like, anchor it, mark it, and say, like, oh, that's what that feels like, and then you can start to move towards it and develop it yourself. It comes on your radar as a possibility. So there's that. I also do find that, like, there's, like, a shamanic, like, energy healing type component, and that's not something I currently, unless I'm inspired, it's not something I currently facilitate with, like, traditional methods. It's more something I notice as a feature of what I'm doing in the other work. It's very Mary Poppins and Willy Wonka-ish for most, and I do serve, like, a range of people, and so everyone's experience is a little bit different. I'm not pushing anybody into my model. I'm building a model for them. And so some people will only talk to me on the phone, and some people, you know, will only need one. You know, you know, I'll use astrology with, like, it's whatever is called for and allowed for by the individual. So I do have, like, a system of approach, but my system is to make a system, you know. So, good morning. I just wanted to practice talking about this. I'll probably be back another time to do this, and I hope everybody has a really beautiful day, and thank you so much for your support. If you have any topics that you're interested in for the broadcast series, let me know.